It is Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and welcome to the Audible. I am with my guys, Donnie Rightside and the Whale Capper, two gentlemen that I will be partying with all week in Miami. In 48 hours from now, I will be poolside. My supple breasts will be out. I'll have a beverage in my hand. I'll be calling people asshole for no reason. I'll be day drunk. That's what I call day drunk. But right now, it's time to cap these football games. I'm coming off a rough night last night in both CFL and the NFL. The perils of preseason betting. Yesterday in the daytime, we found out that Jaguars would not be playing Foles, nor anybody from their first unit. And I was already in on them on a -3 situation. I missed the Packers-Ravens first half over by a half point. Oh, God. Hit the Raiders +3. Man, just going back to the Raiders. Well, how much more TikTok? Because that glory, that huge cash flow from the Raiders is going to come to a halt unless we start fading them. I lost on the under 40. It was an ugly start for me. Rafa, can you put up my preseason record? It's not pretty. It's just not pretty. Sitting at 7-9 right now. Oh, God. 15%. -15% ROI. Not pretty. Donnie Rightside, how did you do yesterday, and how are you doing today, my friend?
It was kind of interesting when you took a look at it yesterday because I was on the same wavelength with you for the Jaguars, even though we knew that as the day went on, like Nick Foles probably wasn't going to be playing in that football game. But overall, taking a look at it, you say, you know what? This is probably still going to be a pretty good wager. And even going into the game where you saw an injury to Cody Kessler right off the bat as a backup quarterback, you're saying Clayton Thorson's going to play 3.5 quarters? Ain't no way the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win this game. I actually jumped in for a small live wager for the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the game anywhere between 1 to 13 points as a prop bet, paid like +130 back. I thought it was going to be on Easy Street, and he actually plays well. But how about this? The one thing we can always say, if you're hip to the game, if you're just on social media, and information is king and how fast it can be dispersed, the minute that you saw Aaron Rodgers was going to be out of that football game for the Green Bay Packers, that doused everything for a first-half wager. That doused everything for a full-game wager. And if you weren't quick enough to get in, it didn't even matter if that line went, Jimmy, 2.5 to 3 to 3.5 to 4. You knew the Ravens were going to win that football game. It's nice when sometimes you get a layup like that if you're able to take advantage of it.
Well, I was not able to take advantage of it, Donnie. I was not. It was, but we got more action today. And as Whale Capper said, you take 10% of your bankroll, take 10% of that, and then 10%. I've not been doing that. Sadly, I wish I could say I was doing that. I'm not doing that. So it's been rough. Whale Capper, love having this show with you, my friend. How did you handle yesterday? How did you do? And how are you doing today?
Well, first of all, happy Football Friday. And, on days like today, when you're coming off of a tough night like yesterday, best thing you can, a lot of games left, man. There's a lot of games left, not just this week, but this season. We got a long way to go before we really start tallying up wins and losses in a meaningful way. So, I think, the point Donnie made was spot on. In the same way that the Chiefs injecting Pat Mahomes into preseason week 1 was kind of a shot in the arm for the whole team, the Packers pulling Aaron Rodgers at the last minute does the exact opposite. That deflates the whole locker room. Everybody's looking around each other like, oh, I guess we're not going to win this thing then. Or we're not even going to try, I guess, huh? And so, those kind of situations are more meaningful than pretty much anything else you can try to incorporate into an information handicap here in the preseason. So great looking out for that sort of thing. And I think overall, what we're kind of seeing is that you can't count on depleted units looking poor in the preseason games, because it turns out that their backups have been getting lots and lots and lots of reps in practice over the last couple weeks. And some of these units that I expected to look real suspect based on injury actually played quite well. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's a theme as we kind of march through the rest of week 2 and week 3 of the preseason.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and certainly the situation. I am excited to be here with you guys. I love doing this show. I can't wait to do it with you guys live in Miami, but it's nice to be here on a Friday to start the weekend. Thank you to all the great cappers we have in the chat. Shout out to Anthony Mastronardi in the house. Said, can't wait, boys. Hit a nice 5-team parlay yesterday. $5 paid $3.50. Oh, nice work, Anthony Mastronardi. We got Deer Slayer Ski, Tomarino Tomor, Taylor H. Wright, Moneyline, Nick the Slick, Oscar Valverde, Ramirez, Tomarino Tomor. Tomor says, I hit the under in the Eagles game last night. Should have been easy, was close at the end. Brandon Lugo, Nutflush Allen, Pie Guy 9871. What a great group. Let's get to work. Let's get to work right now and take a look. Now, we've already broken down the Friday game. We've already broken down the Friday games. I just added the first half over to my only play, which is Dolphins at Buccaneers. I have the first half over 22.5. I have the full game over 43. We talked about this on our show on Tuesday. It's a nice situation with Ryan Griffin throwing 45 passes, Gabbert looking good. Feels like we're going to get some first-team offense from the Dolphins with Josh Rosen, who went 13 for 20 yesterday. I doubled up on the over. I've made no other moves. These aren't the games we're going to break down at this point. I do find the Panthers appealing. I'm only on that over. Donnie, do you have a favorite play on this Friday card? Is there something that you're looking at?
Actually, you know what's kind of interesting? Just reading the tea leaves out of the Chicago Bears heading into tonight's game, the Chicago, we didn't know what was going to take place, but just seeing like Matt Nagy coming out with the words like, I don't really give a damn if Trubisky even throws a pass in the preseason. That sends a major red flag up that says, we're not really looking to work on our first team here. Let's get some of the second guys in there, and also taking a look at some words from the New York Giants tonight, Jimmy, that are saying, you know what? We'd like to see a little bit more Eli. Let's see a little bit more Daniel Jones. So maybe getting some better quarterbacking play with a team that's probably taking this game a little bit more serious than the opposite side with the Chicago Bears. I like the Giants tonight. No reason for me to believe that the Giants can't win by a field goal or more tonight.
And that's what Tom Marino is saying. He says, I'm on Giants, got -2. He says, Bears don't care about the preseason. Our guy Barry Block coming in saying, what's up, Jimmy? Moneyline, Eagles, Raiders, Jets, parlay. No picks today. Maybe light play on the over, Bucks, Miami too. And Tom Marino saying, I'm on the Giants. Bears played a mock exhibition game in practice. The starters aren't expecting to play. Well, consider myself interested right away. I find myself interested right away. Sorry, that's from a Kevin Nealon joke when he's reviewing porn movies for Playboy. And he says he put the first movie on and he found himself interested right away. More interested, so interested, and suddenly no interest whatsoever. I won't get into that. But let's move on to Whale Capper. What are you looking at on this Friday card?
That's a good story. I'm gonna remember that one. The only thing that really strikes me on this Friday play, I still really feel pretty strongly about this Bears Giants over. I think you're going to see some pretty impressive quarterback play out of second and third stringers on both sides. And Giants defense, I like the look on the Giants. Their defense, though, still troubles me. Not really impressed at all with their ability to stop the Jets in the last game we saw. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears' second unit, even though they may not care about this game, I still am looking for them to get into the 17, 20-point range. So this is an overlook for me still, and that's about all I feel strongly about tonight.
Oh, just on the over. And Whale Capper, if you do like that joke, he ends up going into the kitchen, making a sandwich, noticing that the film was still on, and then he found himself interested again. You guys had a small look on the Panthers on the Tuesday show. Donnie Rightside, is that gone?
Yeah, you know what's interesting about it, too? Because you see the line move, what's opened up at 3 as a favorite for Carolina, down to 1. Now, the early tea leaves that we were reading saying, hey, the first team is going to get a good look. Sometimes when you see that drop down, you sort of make wonder, saying, does that mean Cam Newton's going to come in and have like cameo performance and, Buffalo's still going to come out and try to play this game to the hilt and pick up a victory? That's the only thing that worries me a little bit, but not so much interested in this game anymore. I still think the second game the game that we just talked about was a little bit more interesting for me, Jimmy.
I like it. And did either of you guys, we'll start Whale Capper, are you still interested in the Dolphins Buccaneers over, Whale Capper, or is that faded?
No, I backed off on that one big time. The weather looks a little dicey down there. I know it's not a guarantee that if you have wind and rain, you're going to get an under, but just the likelihood that the passing is a little less crisp is concerning me enough to stay away from that one. I do still like the Panthers, but not enough to really feel confident in playing that one. I'm going to look for a Panthers opportunity probably at halftime. Because, the angle I was circling there was the likelihood that the heat and the humidity that the Bills have been practicing in is going to have their legs sapped. And you're going to see some pretty sluggish play out of that crew in the second half as the Panthers either come back and steal one or run away with it. So second half Panthers is on my radar.
Interesting look. Very interesting. Let's move on to Saturday's action. We're going to do Saturday, Sunday, and touch on the Monday game, the Monday nighter, which is here Niners at Broncos. Let's start with the Saturday. We'll go down. We'll start with Browns at Colts. Opened at a pick'em. Now the Colts are -2. If you want to pay the -125, you can get them at 2.5. If you want a -115 or -120, or the -3 at +100. Total opened at 43 and stayed. How much Baker Mayfield will we see? He looked excellent in that drive against the Redskins. Quick little 2-minute drill to start off the game. 5 and 6, 77 yards TD. Did it without Landry and OBJ. Came out up tempo, and it carried over throughout the game. There are some still battles on defense at second cornerback spot up for grabs, so there should be some intensity from the defense. Now, from the Colts, Jacoby Brissett did not look very good. He looked bad. I mean, 2 of 5, 21 yards over 3 series. Completed. The only completions were to Devin Funchess. Indianapolis combined for 2 first downs and 44 yards on its first 7 series. It was not a nice performance from them. Phillip Walker ended the half by putting together a 5-play, 41-yard drive. Frank Reich placed the blame on the Colts not being able to run the ball, 16 yards in the first half. No Marlon Mack around to help. And then Chad Kelly came in, and Chad Kelly looked good. A little 33-yard scamper into the end zone, and 2 drives for field goals. Browns at Colts. Donnie Rightside, do you have a look or a feel with this one?
This is an interesting one, Jimmy, and it's just coming from the information that's coming out from both sides here. Because we know Cleveland, look, the bigger picture is they're ready for the regular season, maybe get Baker Mayfield out there, have a good scoring drive, get in and out of the game. But I'm kind of perplexed by the actual movement of the game on the lines. We're seeing, open up at a pick'em or -1, now sitting at -3s for Indianapolis. Now, looking on the cover of this game, you'd say, you know what, that makes sense. Indianapolis wants to bounce back. But then, you read the stuff what Frank Wright is talking about. He's saying by the 3rd preseason game, I want to figure out who my starter is. Now, to me, I'm trying to read that and say, well, that means that either Andrew Luck is probably going to miss a lot more time than you think because he's not going to play in the preseason. You don't know how healthy he is. But then if you turn the picture and say, okay, let's just say for some odd instance that Andrew Luck's not going to be ready to start the season. The common thinker would say, well, then you're going to have to get Jacoby Brissett ready to go. He's going to play a lot of time. He's got to get in sync with the offense. But that's the opposite of the way that NFL teams think, because if you have Andrew Luck banged up, the general manager and the head coach are saying, I can't lose Jacoby Brissett now. Then we're going to be up the creek for 2 to 3 weeks until Andrew Luck can even come back. So it's kind of a conundrum to me why that line has moved up. And just for that, I'm going to take Cleveland plus the points tonight because I can't see them saying, well, Jacoby's got to play 2.5 quarters to get ready, when if he gets banged up, you're looking at, we have no idea who the starting quarterback's going to be week 1. Give me Cleveland tonight.
That makes sense. That's a very sensible breakdown. It's a mistake right now to put Brissett in any kind of risk. And who cares if he doesn't look good in the first couple weeks of preseason? I like that angle a lot. Donnie. Well, Capper, what are your feelings on Browns at Colts? Oh, looks like we've lost the audio.
It looks like he doesn't give a damn. Yeah, I don't think he gives a damn.
He stopped caring. He's like, okay. He's back.
Are we still talking preseason?
Yeah.
If this was this is a playoff game preview, probably. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see Browns versus Colts come January. I'll be much more interested in that than I will be in this game. But I'm going to look for. I'm a little lukewarm on the Browns look that Donnie just laid out there. That makes sense to me. Your points are completely valid. I would be surprised if we see a ton of Brissett because you do need to keep him healthy, unless they're not 100% sure that he's their backup. That's the only other reason that they might be, playing games here is that they may be seeing things from him in practice that they're not feeling great about, and they want to give his give some looks to the guys behind him to see if they can push him. But my look here is going to be the over on this game. I think you're going to see some pretty crisp offensive play from both sides. I like that. I actually don't like this at all, but there was a horrific injury in practice this week between these two teams. And a lot of times when you see one of those injuries on the field and you're out there playing, like you tend to kind of ramp down your intensity a little bit, especially if you're on the defense. You're kind of reminded like, oh yeah, this is preseason. I shouldn't necessarily, throw my head, at this guy's, helmet. So, there's probably going to be a little bit of kind of a lack of defensive intensity out there if I have to take some motivational, leap here, which would lend itself to an over. On top of the fact that I really respect the extreme depth on offensive talent that both of these teams have, you should see that on display in spades, and a lot of opportunities here to score points. So give me an over tonight.
Back in the over. Interesting look. And yeah, you're right. Maybe Chad Kelly is an option here. Our guy Nut Flush Allen says, "Don't type and drive a big rig." He said, "It's okay, I pulled over." And then he said he's putting his plane ticket money on Winston, Rosen, Fitzpatrick, Gabbert on the first half over. He's not listening to you, Whale Capper, on the 10% of 10% of 10%. Going to put the Miami plane ticket. Also, Nutflush Allen knows when we pick him up, and I will be there to pick him up at the airport, him and his wife Kristen in Miami. We're going straight to the Hard Rock Casino. No stopping en route. And there's our guy Nutflush Allen pulling over his big rig just so he can let us know. I love that. I love the passion. Nutflush Allen. So we have Whale Capper liking the over. We have Donnie Rightside interested in the Browns. That's a very nice breakdown, and I loved hearing both sides. Let's move on to the big bad Patriots at Titans. Patriots open to -3. Now there's -1s, -1.5s, and -2s. I almost faded the Patriots in week 1, and I'm just so thankful that I did not do that. That would have been just so horribly embarrassing. They just wiped the floor with the Lions. This total opened at 40. Now there's 41s and 41.5s on the board. Jacoby Myers got 2 touchdown passes. They destroyed the Lions 31-3. Last Thursday, Hoyer looked okay, but Stidham, as you guys both predicted, looked very good. He looked very good. And Ryan Tannehill tossed a pair of touchdown passes. That was another prediction of you guys. That was, it just played out the way according to form in that 27-10 win over the Eagles. Donnie Rightside, Patriots at Titans. Does the Patriots do they keep on rolling, or do we see Tannehill make a claim for that number 1 spot?
Yeah, if we go 2 sides in this game, I mean, it's hard to go against New England. It just seems like the machine just keeps building, and first team, get it done, second team, get it done, third team, get it done. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. It's just the way they're built and the way they play football. But taking a look at the game as a total, I actually like it going over the total here because I think, again, it speaks to the volume of the quality play you'll probably get from New England from all 3, but also it just gets back to that same preseason adage. If we're going to have maybe a Marcus Mariota sighting, that's fine, but Tannehill is playing for a job at this point because when you're in Tannehill's position right now, you're not actually looking to say, you know what, I'm going to try to beat out Mariota. You're not going to beat out Marcus Mariota here, but we all know it's coming. Somebody's going to get injured out there, and Ryan Tannehill is going to want to play for a job or say, you know what, we can flip this guy for a 3rd-round draft pick, and he can go start somewhere else at this point. I think you'll get some quality football play, and I'm going to look to the over in this game. I like the over actually better than the side of the New England Patriots here.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, and the market is going with you. What do you think about that breakdown, Whale Capper? How are you feeling this Patriots-Titans game out?
Well, I've been watching this market move, and I really don't understand it. I'm going to be going head-to-head with Donnie on this one. This is an underlook for me, and there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, I don't have confidence in Mariota being able to run a particularly efficient offense for the Titans. Yet, Titans insiders on the ground that I'm friends with have been telling me that Mariota has gotten all the first-team snaps in these joint practices with the Patriots. And, what made them intriguing to me last week against the Eagles is how many of the first-team snaps Tannehill was getting. He was getting a lot of reps. He was getting a lot of looks with some of the more talented players on the field. Now you flip that, on its head, and he's going to have to do it with the backups if he's going to kind of make a claim for this job. I'm not sure why they didn't see what we all saw, that Tannehill was looking pretty competitive last week, I felt like, and that they really should open this up to a competition. I think maybe, they were hoping to push Mariota by giving Tannehill all those looks, and incidentally, they may have pushed him a little too far. So there's going to be some incentive for them to kind of make Mariota feel a little bit better about his role in the offense and his job this week. And, that may come down to full-on sabotaging Tannehill in terms of what they're doing from a play calling standpoint. On top of the fact that, I don't love a lot of the, there's been a lot of kind of buzz about these up-and-coming receivers for the Patriots, these young wide receivers. They had them running super, super vanilla routes against the Lions. I'm expecting they're going to challenge them a little bit in this game, trying to make them, do a little bit more. And in that instance, there's going to be a little bit less of cohesiveness between the receivers and the quarterbacks. So this all sets up for an under for me, and I'm just kind of watching this number drift and waiting till the last possible minute to get the best possible number.
Wow, a heads up, Donnie Rightside, Whale Capper, week 2 of the preseason battle on the total here in Patriots at Titans. Let's move on to Chiefs at Steelers. Chiefs opened at a pick'em. Game opened at a pick'em. Now, BetOnline's hanging a 2. The rest are hanging a -2.5. And I looked, and that's still the case. It's just BetOnline -2 and -119, and the 2.5s there. Total opened at 44.5. Now it's 46.5. 5 times hanging a 47. Mahomes took his first snap of the preseason and looked like his old self. Down the sideline to Travis Kelce, and on their way to a 38-17 win. Caldwell led the Chiefs with 59-yard rushing and a TD. Dobbs and Rudolph both look good in that 30-28 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but nobody looked as good as Devin Bush. Man, is this guy the favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year here? 10 tackles, 7 solo in the first half. He had 6 tackles in the first quarter alone, 4 solo. This guy is the truth, man. He's very dangerous. 10th overall pick from Michigan. Almost had a pick as well. Part of a 4th-and-1 stop in the second quarter. This is nice to see from the Steelers. That defense that we remember could be coming back in Pittsburgh. Donnie Rightside, Chiefs are taking money. Do you agree with it? Chiefs at Steelers.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you should get points in this game, right? The way it's setting up, and especially with them hanging a line of 46.5, which has already been bet up from that 44.5 range. It's a tough one for me. Look, if I'm looking at Kansas City, if I'm going to get Patrick Mahomes, because in the past, I'd like to preface this by saying watching Andy Reid, I mean, again, the NFL has evolved and changed, but he was never shy to play McNabb a full quarter and a half in preseason games. Looks like he might curtail this and play Patrick Mahomes maybe a little bit more than he possibly should be in week 2, but Chad Henne should be able to come in and give a little bit of an influence in this game. Over at 46.5, it should get there, yes, but it's creeping up into sort of that no man's land that's saying, you know what, this is going to have to be a really good, clean played football game and limited penalties to get over that total, because we all know, we saw it a couple of times last night, a couple of touchdowns called back, a nice little run out there by the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. You had a touchdown down in Jacksonville that got called back. That's going to happen repeatedly here. Maybe we're able enough to nip it in the bud where you don't get in that 50-point range and you stay in that mid-40s. I'm going to stick with Kansas City in this one. I just think Andy Reid's going to have it dialed up. Look, they're going to be vanilla to a certain degree because, again, we're talking about Pittsburgh and Kansas City, probably a good opportunity that they might catch up to each other a little bit later in the football season. You don't want to give away too many. Remember when we played them back in the preseason? They used this play on 3rd and 3. They're not going to give any of that, but you should get some pretty quality quarterback play in this game. I'll lean Kansas City to get the victory here in Pittsburgh.
Kansas City to get the victory. When I look at, I agree with Tomor here saying Dobbs looked good week 1, and both you guys, Donnie Rightside and Tomer, saying, but that total is too high for me to bet it. It's high, and 47. I mean, let's forget about what the Chiefs did last week. I mean, that was against easy competition here, and the Steelers at home. I don't know. Whale Capper, how do you see this? Chiefs at Steelers.
I agree with Donnie on this one. The Chiefs are the look, but I have a stronger angle here on the under. I'm drinking the same Kool-Aid as Tom Marino, man. This is a silly high total for a game that you're not really going to want to expose a lot of your best looks. Both of these teams got pretty comfortable wins in week 1 of the preseason. The Steelers were at home last week, and that place was rocking. People were fired up. Like, that was like a high energy crowd. And so the fact that they came out and they kicked butt, especially in that first half, wasn't entirely shocking. You had a similar situation with the Chiefs at home for their game. Like, that place was rocking. Like, they were fired up. They got shot out of a damn cannon to start that game. Now, this is the second week of the preseason. We've already seen these teams. A little bit of the excitement is worn off. We've already seen Pat Mahomes, get some reps. I'm not expecting you're going to see, especially, precise, offenses here with advantage play calling. I think this is much more of an opportunity to, kind of get your guys some game reps, not get anyone hurt. And, I would expect that this comes down to the backups in the second half, and I give Kansas City the slight advantage there. But I love the first half under, and I like the full game under.
Love the first half under, like the full game under. Interesting stuff. And that goes against our Joe Yurkovich, who says big time over here. Defenses will be lax, but not hear from the Whale Capper. Interesting breakdown. So already we have Whale Capper going against the last 2 market moves of the games we spoke of. Patriots and Titans market move going up. Whale Capper is going to go under it, but he's waiting. And the same scenario here. Market's going up. Whale Capper wanting to get underneath that number. Interesting stuff. Let's move on to Lions at Texans. Texans opened up at -3.5. Now there's -4.5 across the board. Total opened at 42.5. They're still there at some books, but most have moved it to 42. Jermaine Kearse, parted off early in the first quarter of that 31-3. I don't know how things could be worse. It's so funny because they're a team I was really high on. And I know it's week 1 of the preseason. I keep saying that over and over again. But man, what a horrifying. They didn't cross midfield until the second half of the fourth quarter. Oh, God. The Patriots sacked Detroit 9 times. At the end of the third quarter, Lions had 41 net yards and -11 passing. Ugh. And so A.J. McCarron on the other side of things for the Texans, sidelined with a thumb injury. So it was all Joe Webb. It was the Joe Webb game. He played the entire game. He's the only quarterback on the roster other than Deshaun Watson. And, 25 for 40, 286 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. They got Kiki Kute carted off the field, which you got to hate seeing this happen in the first quarter. But you can't imagine they're going to do that again, play Joe Webb the whole game. Will we see some Deshaun Watson? And is that why this has gone from -3.5 to -4.5. Donnie Rightside, Lions at Texans.
Yeah, even offshore, we got some outlets, showing up as 5s here. But just looking at this game and reading into what the Detroit said, look, they didn't have a good performance last week. So most people would say, you know what? Not going to happen again. They're going to want to come out and this is the preseason. They don't want to come out and establish themselves as a real football team. Now, the one thing I did read out of Detroit camp this week, that if you're looking just for a preseason run here, is what they're starting to talk about with Matthew Stafford. Hey, we're going to give him some veteran days here. Hey, last year he was really beat up. So that raises a flag in my head saying our only thing here in the preseason is we don't want to get Matthew Stafford too many reps and get him banged up here, which then you hit the nail right on the head, Jimmy. If we're talking about, quarterback play from the Houston Texans, when you take out A.J. McCarron as the backup, who's supposed to get the majority of the time in the preseason, and then you see Joe Webb, this line is sitting at 42.5. I think the quarterback play is going to be atrocious tonight. So I'm just forget about the side of the game. Just give me the under. I'll take 2.5 quarters of Joe Webb running around out there and, a real vanilla offense from the Detroit Lions and getting not much out of it either side here. Give me the under 42.
The under. Donnie Rightside liking the under in Lions. Texans, week 2 preseason. Whale Capper, what do you think here? Do you have an angle?
I wish I could add something to Donnie's breakdown. That was exactly my read on this game. Love this under.
Wow. Okay. No, I feel you. I feel you. That breakdown makes sense. And Webb, lots of yards, but a touchdown and 2 picks. I hear that. And Tom Marino saying every year there's a team that gets embarrassed week 1 that usually bounces back week 2. I'd lean Detroit here. Jacksonville, I thought the same thing there. But Tom Marino says Jacksonville wasn't playing as many starters as Detroit likely does. Jay Peach, though. I love when Jay Peach comes in. Jay Peach says, never lean Detroit. I love Jay Peach.
That's good advice.
Never lean Detroit. Okay, let's move to Jay Peach. When I first came down here 2 years ago, I had a late night show here once a week, and we'd go over the Beat the Bag contest and all the football. And my 49ers were atrocious at the time. And Jay Peach would call them open ass. And I'd never heard that term before, open ass. And, you hear a lot of things in life and you just couldn't care less about it. But some things stay ingrained in your head. And the horrifying image of open ass has done that, Jay Peach. Let's move on to Cowboys at Rams. Open Rams at -2.5. Now it has switched completely over to the Cowboys, -2.5. Total open at 43. Now Pinnacle New Wager hanging at 40, while all other books are hanging 39.5. Prescott completed all 4 of his pass attempts in that 17-9 loss. He looked good. With no Zeke, we saw Tony Pollard 4 times, 16 yards, 1 drive. I expect he'll get more this time around. There was also some feel-good situations. You got to see Travis Frederick come back after missing all of last year with the nerve disorder. Played the opening drive in his return. Nice to see. Blake Bortles started for the Rams and looked like Blake Bortles out there. No difference. Now, they were saying nice things about him, but 3 of 8, 50 yards, 59.4 rating. And then another nice spot for the Rams, Kevin Peterson, after missing all of last year with the ACL. He came back. So it was nice to see Peterson and Frederick out there. Cowboys look good early and then just didn't care. They didn't try. And this line move, heavy over to the Cowboys, makes it seem like they are going to try this week. Donnie Rightside, Cowboys at Rams.
I agree with both line moves here of what's taking place here. Now, you're late to the train. I know we don't like to say, hey, because we do the shows live. So it's like, hey, well, I'll take it right now at -3, even though you could have gotten +3. I still think Dallas Cowboys are the right side. They should win this football game. But also taking a look at the movement to the under, 42.5 down to 39.5 out there. We're talking about two teams that are flying to Hawaii, which already gets your head different. Like, you're in the middle of football camp. You're ingrained. You're in training camp. You're not going anywhere. You're just focused on football. And then you say, hey, guys, we got a game in Hawaii. And it's sort of like turns away from like a business trip to like a deep breath. Let me go out here. Oh, we're going to go to Hawaii. I mean, not that they're going to be going on the beach and having fun, but just flying out to Hawaii to play a football game in a random stadium just leads me to believe that how invested are these guys going to be? How tired are they going to be? And what's the point of them going to Hawaii for a preseason game to begin with? Give me the under in this football game, and I think Dallas just managed the game a little bit better than what the Rams are. We know the Rams really don't care. They're waiting to hold out all their starters. They're waiting to play for week 1 as opposed to this preseason game. I think Dallas is still going to get it, even though it's a late movement. You missed out on a positive line. And I think this game stays under because I can't even believe they're flying to Hawaii in the middle of training camp and playing a football game. No way this goes over.
No way this goes over, but at 39.5, is there still value? Still a value. And tough. And explaining to Sue's 387 why that move has gone to the under. And Nutflush Allen laughing, saying, you know what, we got to let Whale Capper go first on some of these. But I like seeing Whale Capper digest what Donnie has to say and then discuss it. But I hear what you're saying, Nutflush. Maybe we should. Sue's 387 says, yeah, I'm here in Hawaii. They're partying at the Four Seasons.
Oh.
But we are selling out the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
So there's two different angles there. And Sue says, do you guys believe if we sell out the stadium, they play harder? What do you think about this spot, Whale Capper, Cowboys at Rams?
So I don't think that the stadium sellout influences how hard they play. I think there's probably going to be a little bit of a vacation mindset. I mean, you can't go to Hawaii and not catch that.
Yeah.
Some of these guys, probably their first ever trips to Hawaii. Unless you've been to the Pro Bowl when it happened to be in Hawaii. I'm not sure you've ever been out there before if you're an NFL player. But I think the important part to focus on for this game is the fact that the Rams are traveling 5 hours, 5 hours west here. It's a 5-hour flight from LA to Hawaii. It's a non-trivial flight, right? So they're flying 5 hours west now. Later this season, they're going to be flying to London. Like this part of their, you typically ignore like the travel that you log during preseason, but I don't think this is trivial. Like, I think this could have some potential impacts on how the Rams perform through the kind of the first half of the season, and kind of the overall kind of wear and tear of all of the travel that they have to do is going to be super serious this year. And so I'm just kind of going to gauge, they didn't fly everyone out there, right? Like Goff didn't go out there. There's a couple other key offensive pieces that they did not fly out to Hawaii, but they flew Aaron Donald out there. They flew some of their other blue chip players out there, and this is a thin team anyway. I don't love their second and third units at all. That was kind of our whole angle on blasting the Raiders last week. And I'm going back to the well, and I'm taking the Cowboys in this one all the way. I think the Cowboys have shown some pretty interesting. I've seen a lot of clips of Cooper Rush this week in practice. He's getting a lot of reps with the guys who are going to be the 1 and 2 wide receivers in this game, who are the second string wide receivers normally in the regular season. He's shown some pretty nice chemistry with those guys. I think you're going to see some pretty impressive passing out of that unit when they're out there, and I think that's going to bolster the Cowboys here to the win. And I'm going to lay the points and back the boys. As far as the total goes, I get the angle of why would they try? Like, this is a vacation, like therefore it's going to go under. I think there's probably been way too much made of that. I think that in general we knew that Goff wasn't going to be out there with the team before they lined this game, so I'm not 100% sure I totally understand why the line has moved that far down. potential that it's been overbet to the under at this point, and that there's a little bit of an overreaction, and that there may be some line value on the over, but not enough for me to really take a swing at. I'm just going to stick with a Cowboys look here, and continue my expectation that the Rams and their poor depth are going to cost them preseason, cost them opportunities to look anywhere half decent in this preseason.
Yeah, wow. In the last 40 minutes, not even. Oh, I guess so. If it's 30, so I guess in the last less than an hour, there's only 2.5 left. There's 3s across the board now. So an hour ago, these were all 2.5s, and now we have a 3 everywhere except for Intertops and Pinnacle. And Pinnacle's 2.5s at -127. So if you're gonna back the Cowboys, bet it right now while we're talking about it, because those 2.5s are going to be gone in minutes. Wow, that's wild on a Friday afternoon to see that kind of a move. There you go. Those are the Saturday. That's the Saturday slate of games right there. And going back the over from the Browns-Colts game, something Whale Capper liking, Donnie Rightside liking the Browns there. And the Patriots-Titans, we have a Donnie Rightside, Whale Capper head-to-head showdown on the total there. The under and the first half under is a look in the Chiefs at Steelers, under in the Lions at Texans. And then here we have Donnie Rightside liking the under and our Whale Capper liking the Cowboys. Writing down all these notes. And there is your Saturday card. There, and Brandon Lugo says, yeah, I'm showing Cowboys -3. Wow. Suze387 saying, yeah, I have like 30 friends from LA who I'm hosting for a tailgate. Beautiful says, I'm there to get drunk. I love that. Suze, have fun. And Suze also saying, very true. I'm doing back before when Donnie was talking about them not taking it seriously. Suze said, very true. I'm doing their security. They're just enjoying the weather. Love having these insights from our guy, Suze387. Much love to you, Suze. Enjoy that game. Okay.
Aloha.
Aloha, yeah. Oh, I would be insanely jealous here, landlocked in a city where if I go out alone, I'll get robbed. But I'm not, because I'm going to Miami in a couple days, where I could easily get robbed on the beach. But if I do, I'll have somebody around me for protection. That won't be Freddie Fortune or Lucrative Larry. Let's move on to the Sunday games. We're going to start with Saints at Chargers. Chargers opened up at -3. Now you can get -3s at plus money or -2.5s at -110. They opened at 44.5. Now there's 44s and 43.5s. Teddy Bridgewater started in that Saints 34-25 loss, played throughout the first half, 14-19, 134 yards, 1 touchdown on an 18-yard pass to Dan Arnold. Tyrod Taylor started and looked good. 6 of 6, 72 yards. Man, that's a nice place for it. I know the Chargers have some issues, and we've talked about some contract concerns, but I'm telling you that having Rivers and then Tyrod Taylor backing him up is a very comfortable position for these Chargers. Let's go, Donnie Rightside, Saints at Chargers. What do you think here?
Yeah, these are usually the tougher games for me to try to pick off in the preseason when you get those veteran quarterback type teams. But the good part about it is here, you do have some pretty decent backups that are going to be able to move the football. And you got some 2 athletic quarterbacks that can get after it, even when you get down to Taysom Hill for New Orleans. Didn't overall like the performance last week by Teddy Bridgewater and the New Orleans team. I think it'll be a little bit cleaner this week. But taking a look to see what the Chargers are going to do, as you said, the backup quarterback Tyrod Taylor, these are great preseason quarterbacks to have, as opposed to picking off a side, which is I see, opens up at 3. Now you're getting 1.5s, 2.5s across the board. I tend to think that there might be some points in this game, even though it looks like it opened up 44.5 down to 44, some 43.5. I'm actually going to lean on the over in this one because I like the backup quarterback playing this one. I think you get a little bit more cleaner of an effort out of both sides here. Give me the over in this game, Jimmy.
Taking the over. Saints Chargers. Now, I took the over in the Chargers Cardinals and lost that, and that was unfortunate. It was just the first half over. That was unfortunate. And we talked about the difficulties in the first quarter there, that it could have come through, and I don't want that to get in the way of me going back to the well here. Donnie Rightside, another spot where one of our experts is going against the market move here, like in the over. Whale Capper, Saints at Chargers.
I have a slight lean here on the Saints, and I would take the money line if I'm backing the Saints. But I think it's not enough to really say this is an actionable angle. I will instead use my time to kind of cry into my happy hour beer here over the loss of Derwin James for like the first 8 weeks of the season. Really, really stinks. He is such a good young player, like on track to be one of like the stars in the league. And if you haven't already heard, he has a Jones fracture in one of his feet, and he's probably going to miss like week 1 through 8. Now, if you look at, there's a tendency to try to overreact to that and say, oh man, this screws the Chargers. Now they're not contenders with the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm still pretty hopeful that he'll be back by week 9. Week 9, they play the Packers, which is pretty important, obviously. If you're going up against Aaron Rodgers, top 5 quarterback in the league, you definitely want Derwin James out there. Week 11, they go up against Pat Mahomes for the first time and down in Mexico City. So as long as he's kind of back by midseason, I'm still feeling pretty bullish about the Chargers' chances to take the AFC West and to be a contenders this year in the AFC. But boy, does it stink that we're not going to get to see him out there first half of the season, because he's a really special talent. And the players that matter on defense, people tend to kind of focus on sacks and focus on pass rush. But if you can cover well, if you have the ability to kind of be a dynamic, cover player and also have the tackling skills that a player like Derwin James does, then you can be an impact maker in today's NFL. So it's tough that we've lost him for a couple of weeks here, but still somewhat bullish on the Chargers overall.
Yeah, I pumped the brakes, and it's our Joe Yurkovich here in the chat who really got in my head last year with the amount of futures bets I made, and I ended up down 1.8 units on all of them. So I couldn't be like, look at the success it was, Joe. But and Gas Station Sushi, a great capper who's with us as well. He says Bridgewater has every reason to play well in the preseason, but I'm not convinced that he will play well. Gas Station Sushi was another guy who was saying, don't put too much into it now, wait. And so I've not made a move other than that first 2 bets I made. I pumped the brakes. So I have not jumped in on the Chargers at this point, and it was very interesting to hear your take on the Derwin situation. So Tom Reno says Chargers defense always has injuries, and yeah, they do, but still hurts. Still hurts. Donnie Rightside liking the over in this spot. Whale Capper with a lean towards the Saints. Let's go to the Seahawks at Vikings, the final game on Sunday. Vikings opened at -3.5, and Pinnacle has moved them to -4. -3.5 everywhere else, but Pinnacle at -4. Total opened up at 42. Now there are a couple 42s, but mostly 41.5s and 41s. Cousins look good in that lone series in Minnesota's new offensive scheme, and I mean, it's easy to say he's going to be better than he was last year, but you have to think a year to be there, be in the locker room with the guys, get used to the situation, that he should be better last year. Then we have Mannion. He looked good enough. Vikings beat the New Orleans Saints 34-25 in that season opener. Kyle Sloter also threw a touchdown pass. They look good. On the other side of things, we have, is that the Broncos spot? What am I talking about here? Sorry, I've got the Broncos mixed in here. The Broncos mixed in here with my notes here. But back to the Sunday spot. The Seahawks have Lynch. They have Lynch threw for a score, competing with Geno Smith for the backup job. Lynch looked pretty good against his old boys in the Broncos. Lynch looked pretty good, and he's got something to fight for. And I don't know if Geno Smith has that backup job. And we know how good the Seahawks are in preseason under Carroll. Both these coaches care about the preseason, and the Vikings are taking money here. Donnie Rightside, Seahawks at Vikings.
Yeah, I liked what I saw last week. I thought, maybe New Orleans might have been the play opener. I was wrong on that one. So going back to week 2, the one thing that we do like as well is, again, the preseason is about quarterback play. If you have 4 quarterbacks that played well in the first game, you probably think Kirk Cousins is going to get another extended look, maybe play the first quarter in this game, and then you have the other 3 quarterbacks that'll mix it up between the second, third, and fourth quarters. I like the way Minnesota played. You're right. Both of these teams do care, because we looked last week and said, hey, look at this line move to Denver. They already played once. They won. Now they're going into Seattle. Russell Wilson's not going to play. And Seattle went back to their old ways in the preseason and won that football game. So when you take a look and say, hey, both teams care, why don't we just go with the Seattle Seahawks? I can see that point of view. But I just think Minnesota right now, trying to get that offense worked out, looked good last week. I think you're going to have all 4 quarterbacks play and play well this week again. I'm going to lean once again on the Minnesota Vikings this week. I know we're looking at lines out there opening up 3.5. There's even a 4. Primarily still 3.5. I think the Vikings win this football game. I'll take Minnesota here.
Taking Minnesota and the points. And back to the Chargers spot, our guy Trot Wham, whom we get to hang out with in person in Miami. OG Wham says always have injuries. Speaking about the Chargers, says it's like the Drew Brees curse. And to me, it's not the Drew Brees curse, the Doug Flutie curse. And he should have started in that playoff game. And when they pulled him, I stopped caring about these Chargers. Let's move on to the Whale Cappers breakdown here. Vikings opened at -3.5. They're now at 4, and Donnie's backing them. Are you backing them as well, Whale Capper?
No, I'm leaning Seahawks here, and mostly just on the basis that this is too many points when you're going up against a team that legitimately cares about this game in this spot. Again, not enough to really take any action on this one in terms of taking the points. And you know what I've kind of thought through, actually, as we've been breaking this down. I don't really have anything that I feel strongly about on Sunday's card here. But I do lean both dogs. And if you haven't noticed, teasing underdogs in these preseason games has been like automatic practically. And it's not a great reason necessarily to place a bet, but when you lead two dogs on the same day, why not put them together in a little bit of a teaser, get those numbers out into the double digit range, or close to double digits, and expect for two pretty competitive games here. So I think I'm looking at a Seahawks Saints tease here on Sunday.
Seahawks Saints tease, interesting look, interesting breakdown. Gonna have to jot that note down. Seahawks Saints tease, interesting. Okay, and now we move on to the Monday Nighter, and we all are expecting Jimmy G to make his return here tonight. Monday night, we're very excited about that. Broncos opened at -2.5. It stayed there. Total opened at 42.5. Bet online hanging at 42. All other books hanging at 41.5. So Garoppolo will be on the field, as we expect. Not for long, but he should be on the field. The 49ers did have some players go down with injuries. Sean Coleman, right ankle. Raheem Mostert, concussion. Defensive tackle DJ Jones, knee. You don't like seeing that. Mullins and CJ both look good enough for us to get the win. I doubled up on that game last week, and I lost the first half, but got the full game, got the under. Mullins threw for 105 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick in the first half. And then CJ threw for 141 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception in the second half before he left after injuring his hand. I've not exactly heard what's going on with that hand injury at this point. But Hurd and Deebo Samuel look good at wide receiver. And then we had Joe Flacco making his Denver debut last week. It was a brief appearance, 1 series, 3 of 4, 19 yards, led to a field goal. Then Locke struggled in that first outing at the Hall of Fame game, and he looked better. Looked quite a bit better, 17 of 28, 180 yards. And Denver also lost Austin Fort to a knee injury after a 29-yard catch. Rookie tight end Austin Fort. That hurts. Monday Nighter, so we'll go with Donnie Rightside. Monday Nighter, Donnie Rightside, Niners at Broncos. What do you think here?
I'm going to keep the same MO as I had last week, like the 49ers last week. And again, just based on the quarterback play they're going to have. If Jimmy G just show up and he gets a couple series out there, that only pushes back 2 legitimate quarterbacks who played well last year into those supporting roles where they're going to get maybe a full quarter of play. They're getting points. And even the market conditions open up at 2.5. You're seeing some 2.5 with juice out there on Denver. I'm going to stick with the San Francisco 49ers. I'll go with quarterback play. I think they're going to have better overall quarterback play than the Denver Broncos and better overall quarterback play longer in that game because they have more quality and capable backups. Give me the Niners in this game, getting the 2.5.
Well, that makes me excited. And every time you've talked about the Niners all year, I've been excited, or we're all year, it's week 2 preseason, but since we've been doing the videos, I've been very excited that you have hope with these Niners. Tomino says, I doubt Garoppolo plays much. He's very injury prone. Lean Denver, because Flacco will want to play well. First game in Denver. And EJV says, I'm a 49er fan too, Jimmy. How did you become a fan? My whole family, my mom's side of the family is all from San Francisco. So yeah, I had a grandfather who it's funny when you talk about your grandfather wanting you alone in a room, but it was just to watch 49er games, and I was not allowed to talk during a play. And that's how I learned the intensity of a football fan. We would watch old VHS tapes of all the old 49er games, and I wasn't allowed to speak unless it was in between whistles. And that's where I learned the respect that you need to have for NFL football. So if anyone is in the room with you while you're watching and they start gossiping about something, if it's a man, slap him in the face. And if it's a woman, ask them to leave the room. Donnie Rightside. Whale Capper. Sorry, it's been a long week, man. Whale Capper, Niners at Broncos.
I'm going over here. This is a nice spot for an over. I really, what we've seen from both these teams all week in practice has been some pretty aggressive passing attempts. I think they carry that philosophy into this game, attack each other, downfield. I would expect to see some success. I think, you bring up a great point about Flacco trying to kind of solidify his hold on the starting quarterback job. I think they give him opportunities in the passing game to do just that early in this one. I would expect some points from both sides early and often. I love the depth of receiver position in the 49ers. You got a lot of guys out there who are athletic as hell, who can gain yards after the catch. It is a really nice setup for a little bit of a shootout here. I think this one gets pretty competitive early, and we see some back and forth, some touchdowns instead of field goals, and this is a nice look for an over for me.
I like the over, and 49ers gone to the draft and made sure that they got those athletic, capable wide receivers to get the job done. And Debo looked very, very good. 2 catches for 61 yards, a run for 14 yards, and he drew a 25-yard pass interference call. And there you go. There is the weekend slate, including the Monday nighter. Back to the Sunday games. Saints at Chargers. Donnie Rightside liking the over in that spot. Oh, yeah, Donnie Rightside liking the over there. And Whale Capper leaning towards the Saints. Seahawks, Vikings. Whale Capper talking about a Seahawks-Saints tease. And Donnie Rightside on the other side with the Vikings. Donnie Rightside liking the Niners. And Whale Capper liking the over in Niners-Broncos. Great stuff, you guys. Absolutely great stuff. Well, here it is, week 2 of the preseason. When we go over all of these games, here, starting, let's go with Saturday. So we have Browns, Colts, the Patriots, Titans, Chiefs, Steelers, Lions, Texans, Cowboys, Rams, and then Saints, Chargers, Seahawks, Vikings, and Niners, Broncos. Donnie, is there one spot here that you would say, because the birthday pick you gave to our Chicago sports informant was a beautiful winner. Is there a spot here that you like better than the rest?
Yeah, no, I'll stick with it. The Detroit-Houston under. I just don't know how good a quarterback play we're going to get, and they're lining at 41, 42 and a half in that range. I think you're going to have to play it like a clean football game. There's so many penalties, Jimmy, that take away from the totals here. So if I'm going to get what I think is sloppy play already from the quarterback position, throw in that 32-yard gain that gets called back from a backside hold that didn't matter because the refs are practicing and want to make sure they implement it, I'll take the under in that game. I think it's a good one.
Donnie Rightside liking the Lions, Texans as under, as his probably. I mean, it is second week of preseason, but a play that he likes a lot. Well, Capper, what would you say is your favorite look at this point on these Saturday, Sunday, Monday games?
I like this. It's this over on Monday night. Not unlike you probably got to see this on videotape on VHS back in the day. But we had John Elway versus Joe Montana in the Super Bowl, and they just that thing sailed over the total. I think you're talking about the same type of matchup with Drew Lock and Nick Mullins, and this is just going to be an absolute back and forth. Niners score 48 points. This is probably the favorite for me for the week. Monday Night Football over.
Wow, I like it. I like that look. And then Tomorino Tomor is saying Vikings will be my biggest bet this weekend in preseason with the Slaughter-Mannion battle for the backup position. And there you go. Week 2 preseason of our breakdowns in the books. Next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, you will see Donnie Rightside, the Whale Capper, and I live in Miami. And those of you in Florida, please join us. Join us. You can also watch our show live. And then Thursday night, we will be at the very game that we break down, Jaguars at Dolphins. Donnie, any final notes and any love you want to send out to our chat?
No, looking forward to it. It's Friday. How quickly did this trip come up? We were talking about this seemed like, a month and a half ago, and it's finally here, and then pretty soon in a couple, and literally hours, we'll be on planes flying down to Miami, and it'll be fun because a lot of us, we know each other pretty well, over the air. We've seen each other in person, but it's always nice that when you line up and do a side-by-side show, which we're going to do for a lot of the week next week, you get the camaraderie there. We're having a lot of people down in the chat box, which, again, the reason why we're here putting on shows is not so me, Will Capper, and Jimmy can sit here and talk to each other. You could do that on the phone. It's to provide knowledge and have some fun with the chat box and get the responses back. It's a lot of fun. We're going to do it all season long, and all 3 of us, yes, will be in the same room. No green screens needed. We'll be there having fun. Join us next week in Miami. If you can't make it down, join us in the chat box. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun here at Sportsbook Review.
Yeah, I can't wait. Because he's right. We could be at home with our rotary phones talking to each other, breaking down these games. But we're live because of the chat, which makes it so special. And we have week 2 preseason, and the intensity in the chat. Very funny insights and very sharp insights. Whale Capper, any final thoughts?
Well, I mean, I guess I've been misguided as to why we do these shows. I thought it was just so we could, hang out on phone here and not work. But apparently it was for the chat. But no. In seriousness, I am super looking forward to going to Florida, finally getting some sun, finally spending some time at the beach. I get to get away from this hellhole that is Southern California and go to hot and humid Miami. I can't wait. But I'm being kind of silly here. I legitimately cannot wait to see you guys and hang out in person. And, everyone who's part of the SBR family who's going to be there, including, the folks who tune into all these shows and provide great commentary while we're doing them. It's going to be great to meet and hang out with you guys. So looking forward to this more than pretty much anything else I've done all summer. So see you guys next week.
Yeah, it's going to be an enormous highlight. I'm so excited. 48 hours from now, I will be at the pool at the Diplomat Beach Resort, waiting for company, hoping that friends will be there with me, beside me. Much love to all of you guys. On behalf of Donnie Rightside, Whale Capper, and myself, we can't do this show without you, and it means the world that you guys put in all your care in the chat. Let's have a profitable week 2. I'm sitting at 7-9 and not happy about it, but I love the insights from our experts, Donnie Rightside and Whale Capper. On behalf of all of us, have a profitable weekend. Get in the black and stay there and be well. We will see you live on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern.